I'm Bakhtar Sanov and you are watching A News. Let's see the top stories. Donald Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff met with Russia's President Vladimir Putin for the third time in St. Petersburg. Ukraine's allies are set to provide an additional 21 billion euros in military aid. Iranian and United States delegations are holding talks in Oman to discuss Tehran's nuclear program. U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff and Russian President Vladimir Putin met in St. Petersburg to discuss potential steps toward a peace deal in Ukraine amidst growing tensions over ceasefire terms.
Donald Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, met with Russian President Vladimir Putin in St. Petersburg for the third time as Washington pushes for a ceasefire in the war in Ukraine. The Kremlin confirmed that the meeting lasted more than 4 hours and focused on aspects of a Ukrainian settlement amid stalled US-Russia discussions on a ceasefire. Despite ongoing peace efforts, the talks come at a time when diplomatic negotiations have hit a roadblock. Disagreements over the terms of a ceasefire have grown, with Trump urging Russia to get moving on a resolution. Putin has expressed a willingness to agree to a full ceasefire, but insists that critical issues such as Ukraine's NATO ambitions and territorial disputes must be addressed first. The meeting has also sparked speculation about the possibility of an in-person meeting between Putin and Trump, though Russian spokesperson Dmitry Peskov downplayed expectations, stressing that no immediate breakthroughs were anticipated from the talks.
NATO allies have pledged an additional 21 billion euros in military aid to Kiev following a meeting of the Ukraine Defense Contact Group in the NATO headquarters in Brussels. British Defense Secretary John Healey said that 2025 is the critical year for the war in Ukraine and that right now is the critical moment. Today's meeting was the 27th gathering of the UDCG and the second to be chaired by Britain along with Germany, who took over since Donald Trump returned to the White House.
And the new pledges of military aid announced today through the UDCG total over 21 billion euros. A record boost in military funding for Ukraine. And we're also surging that support to the frontline fight.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged allies to prioritize air defense and provide 10 new Patriot systems to Kiev. One of its key European allies, Germany, denied their request, citing its own need for the systems.
Urging allies to support the country in strengthening its air defense, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky asked for 10 new Patriot systems, a versatile air defense system designed to counter advanced aircraft.
I ask you to focus first of all on air defense for Ukraine. We truly need it. 10 Patriot systems, the free world has them. What is needed now are political decisions to make them work for peace. We need that result.
However, Germany responded negatively to President Zelensky's request, stating that it is not possible at the moment to provide the systems, as the country is still awaiting its own deliveries.
As you know, Germany provided already 4 full systems of Patriot. We are not able to provide any more for the moment because we are waiting for being provided by Raytheon in the years to come, which will start only in 27, when I remember correctly. So we are not able to provide more, but what we do is to try to collect all over the world any system in that range for air defense which we can find, and we try at the same time to find money.
Pistorius also emphasized that peace in Ukraine seems unlikely in the near future. He reassured that Germany will continue to provide military support to Ukraine, stressing that Russia must realize Ukraine is capable of continuing the fight with ongoing international assistance.
American consumer confidence has taken a significant hit this April, plunging to levels not seen in decades. According to new data from the University of Michigan, inflation fears and intensifying trade tensions are fueling a sharp rise in pessimism, raising concerns about the broader health of the U.S. economy. Consumer sentiment in the United States fell sharply in April, with the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index dropping to 50.8, down from 57 in March. That's far below economists' expectations, who had forecast a more modest decline to 54.5. The survey found that the downturn in confidence was widespread, cutting across all demographics, including age, income, education levels, regions, and political affiliations. The latest data was gathered through interviews conducted between March 25th and April 8th. Meanwhile, inflation expectations among consumers have surged. The 12-month inflation outlook rose to 6.7% in April, the highest level since 1981. That's a sharp jump from 5% the previous month. Over a 5-year horizon, inflation is now expected to average 4.4% from 4.1% in March. This economic anxiety is unfolding against the backdrop of escalating trade tensions. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump intensified the trade war with China, raising tariffs on Chinese goods to 125%. In a swift response, Beijing implemented an identical 125% tariff on American exports. Although the administration has suspended some targeted tariffs for a 90-day window, a broad 10% duty on most imports remains in effect. Additionally, a 25% tariff still applies to motor vehicles, steel, and aluminum. These aggressive trade measures have sparked widespread concern that the U.S. economy may be heading into a period of high inflation and sluggish growth, or potentially a recession. As trade war continues, U.S. President Donald Trump on Friday said that 10% is a tariff floor, or pretty close, and that there could be a couple of exceptions. He also told reporters that he thought something positive would come out with China.
Hello, everybody. Mr. President, just got back from Walter Reed.
10% floor, Mr. President.
Pretty close. Yeah, I would say.
Pretty close.
There could be a couple of exceptions for, obvious reasons, but I would say 10% is a floor.
The Director General of the World Trade Organization warned the U.S.-China trade tensions could cut the trade of goods between the two economies by as much as 80%. She said that dividing the global economy into two blocks could result in a long-term drop of around 7% in global real GDP. China's WTO delegation said today it had filed an additional complaint over the new U.S. tariffs.
The escalating trade tensions between the United States and China pose a significant risk of a sharp contraction in their bilateral trade. Our preliminary projections suggest that merchandise trade between these two economies could decrease by as much as 80%. Further escalation becomes tantamount to a shutting off of bilateral trade between the two countries, a decoupling. The negative macroeconomic effects will not be confined to U.S. and China alone, but will extend to other countries, especially the least developed nations. Of particular concern is the potential fragmentation of global trade along geopolitical lines. A division of the global economy into two blocks could lead to a long-term reduction in global real GDP by nearly 7%.
Argentina's President Javier Milei says the country is stronger than ever against economic shocks after sealing a major deal with the IMF. The new agreement comes with big changes to Argentina's monetary policy and currency controls.
President Milei says Argentina is entering a new economic chapter, one that aims to stabilize the country and protect it from global market turbulence.
Never has Argentina been better equipped in its economic foundations to resist tensions from the global economy.
The $20 billion agreement with the IMF and other institutions will help rebuild Argentina's reserves and push forward deep economic reforms. About $12 billion will be dispersed immediately, boosting central bank reserves to an estimated $50 billion by May. Under this plan, the central bank will remove the fixed currency peg and allow the peso to float within a band of 1,000 to 1,400 pesos per US dollar. The government is also removing strict currency controls in place since 2019, making it easier for businesses to repatriate profits and attract investment.
It will also allow us, starting from Monday, to end the foreign exchange controls, those controls that have caused so much damage since they were imposed in 2019 and have greatly limited the normal functioning of the economy. Ending the foreign exchange controls within this macroeconomic context of fiscal order and monetary order will inevitably lead to the inflow of investments.
Milei also promised that if global conditions worsen, the government will tighten spending further, keeping the economy on track. He believes this program will not only stop inflation from rising, but make it fall.
In the midterm, considering the program, inflation has no other fate than to collapse, as pesos will never be issued without backing.
While supporters say the reforms bring hope, some Argentinians are still cautious, concerned about rising debt and the social cost of more austerity.
A painful night of remembrance in the Dominican Republic. Families and friends gathered outside the collapsed Jet Set nightclub, where 221 lives were lost.
Mourners lit candles and laid flowers outside what once was the Jet Set nightclub, honouring the memory of 221 people killed in a roof collapse during a packed concert on April 8th. The Dominican government released a preliminary report but didn't confirm the cause of the collapse. Rescue operations have ended, with 189 people pulled from the rubble. 17 remain hospitalised.
Generally speaking, as a Dominican, it's a deep pain. I used to come to this place and I was here some weeks ago. I knew some people who unfortunately died. They were among the last to be recovered, among them a pregnant woman who went with me to school.
Many say the grief feels unreal. One mourner came to light candles for a godfather's nephew, and the many others whose lives were cut short.
Today I came for my godfather's nephew, who unfortunately passed away, and for the 221 victims that are not with us today, and those who are in hospitals and their families. All this has been unreal, and it stirs a lot.
As the night sky flickered with candlelight, the community stood together in silence, waiting for answers, while holding on to memories.
Iran and the United States are holding high-level talks in Oman as Washington tries to slow Tehran's nuclear program. Iran's delegation, led by Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, arrived in Muscat alongside U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff. Our correspondent Turaj Shiralilo from Tehran has more on that.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has arrived in Muscat, Oman, and has started indirect negotiations with U.S. Special Envoy for Middle East Steve Witkoff. At Muscat Airport, Mr. Araghchi told reporters that Iran seeks a fair agreement with the United States based on an equal basis. Following his arrival, he also met his Omani counterpart, Mr. Bousaidi, and submitted to Mr. Bousaidi Iran's key points on negotiations. Mr. Bousaidi, who is functioning as the chief mediator between Iran and U.S. delegations as they meet indirectly and in separate rooms, was going to convey Iran's key points to the U.S. side and at the same time convey U.S. side's key points to the Iranian side. Iran and U.S. officials last met indirectly in May 2024 in Muscat at the 7th round of such negotiations. Iran says it will not negotiate directly with the United States as long as it's following a policy of intimidation and maximum pressure. Turaj Shiralilu reporting for A News TV, Tehran.
At the diplomatic forum in Antalya, a high-level panel brought together top diplomats from the South Caucasus to explore the path forward for regional cooperation. The foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia sat down to address both the challenges and opportunities facing the shared neighborhood. In a significant moment for regional diplomacy, the Antalya Diplomatic Forum hosted a panel discussion on challenges and opportunities for regional cooperation in the South Caucasus. Taking center stage were the foreign ministers of Azerbaijan, Georgia and Armenia, Ceyhun Bayramov, Maka Bochorishvili and Ararat Mirzoyan. Particular emphasis was placed on the need for sustainable and inclusive development. Against the backdrop of global instability, the ministers discussed the importance of resilience, cross-border cooperation and confidence-building measures. The bonds of strategic partnership between Turkey and Azerbaijan continue to grow stronger. In the framework of the Antalya Diplomacy Forum, top defense officials from both nations came together to reaffirm their commitment to deepening military cooperation. A high-level meeting was held between the Minister of Defense of Azerbaijan, Zakir Hasanov, and the Minister of National Defense of Turkey, Yaşar Güler. The meeting focused on discussing the current state of military cooperation between the two brotherly countries, as well as the prospects for its development. Additionally, there was an exchange of views on regional security issues. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has pledged continued support for Syria's stabilization efforts. His remarks came during a meeting with Syrian counterpart Ahmed al-Sharaa at the Antalya Diplomacy Forum on Friday. The encounter marks a rare high-level engagement between the two countries, signaling a potential shift in regional dynamics. According to a statement from Turkey's Communications Directorate, President Erdogan assured al-Sharaa that Ankara will actively pursue diplomatic efforts to lift international sanctions imposed on Syria. Erdogan welcomed the fact that destabilizing forces have not been able to reignite chaos in Syria. He expressed confidence that the coming years would bring stability, prosperity and peace to the war-torn nation. He also emphasized the importance of boosting commercial and economic ties between Turkey and Syria. Erdogan indicated that steps to enhance cooperation in other areas could also be taken, suggesting a broader normalization of relations may be on the horizon. In its latest economic review, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has urged Turkey to stay the course on tight monetary and fiscal policies, while calling for comprehensive structural reforms. The OECD says these steps are vital for ensuring long-term economic stability, productivity, and sustainable growth. The OECD's newly published economic survey of Turkey highlights the country's impressive economic growth over the past decade, ranking among the fastest growing in the OECD with an average annual expansion of 4.9%. But looking ahead, the report emphasizes the need for Turkey to adopt credible and prudent macroeconomic policies. Tight monetary policy and strong fiscal discipline are seen as key tools for maintaining momentum and driving inflation down towards the official 5% target. Speaking at the report's presentation in Istanbul, OECD's Secretary-General Matthias Cormann stressed the importance of long-term reforms. He said that maintaining tight monetary policy and fiscal discipline will be key to ensure sustainable economic convergence with other OECD countries and the continued decline in inflation towards the 5% target. Cormann added that structural reforms aimed at improving public spending efficiency and optimizing tax revenues will be essential to reinforce fiscal discipline. The OECD also praised Turkey's recent shift towards economic policy normalization following the May 2023 elections. The government has taken a series of steps to stabilize the macroeconomic environment, moves that have boosted financial market stability, increased investor confidence, and reduced economic uncertainty. Looking ahead, the OECD forecasts a GDP growth of 3.1% in 2025 and 3.9% in 2026. The message from the OECD is clear: stay the course, deepen reforms, and Turkey can secure a path toward more stable and sustainable economic growth. Armenia and Iran have conducted a two-day joint military exercise near their shared border. While the drills are officially framed as efforts to boost regional security and counter terrorism, the geopolitical undercurrents paint a more complex picture.
Armenia and Iran held a two-day joint military exercise near their shared border. The drills included heavy weapon use, sniper coordination, demolition practice, and joint support fire operations. Iran's state-run Mehr news agency said the exercises were meant to show strength and Tehran's commitment to regional stability and national security. The timing is sensitive. Iran faces global pressure over its nuclear program and regional behavior, while Armenia has been building closer ties with the European Union and promoting democratic values. Still, Armenia's decision to hold military drills with Iran, a country often criticized by Western nations, raises questions about its foreign policy. Critics say Armenia is sending mixed messages, seeking stronger ties with the West while cooperating militarily with Iran. This approach could hurt Armenia's credibility and strain its growing relationships with Europe and the United States.
An armed drug smuggling attempt from Iran into Azerbaijan has been foiled by the country's border guards. One suspect was neutralized, another detained, and a large quantity of narcotics seized. Here are the details.
Azerbaijan's State Border Service successfully prevented an organized group from illegally crossing the border from Iran on April 8th, as part of ongoing efforts to combat drug trafficking and protect the state border. 3 unidentified individuals were spotted by a patrol unit of the Goytepe border detachment attempting to cross into Azerbaijan. The border area was sealed off, and warning shots were fired after the suspects ignored orders to stop. The trespassers responded with armed resistance, opening fire on the guards. In accordance with Azerbaijani law, border guards returned fire, killing one suspect and detaining another. The third managed to flee back into Iranian territory under the cover of darkness. A search of the area uncovered a Winchester rifle, a night vision device, bullet casings, and 32.4 kilograms of marijuana. The Iranian side has been informed, and investigations are ongoing.
Kazakhstan is making major strides in artificial intelligence with a strong focus on attracting top talent. As part of this effort, the country aims to bring in up to 10,000 AI specialists each year through the launch of a new international AI center, Alem.ai. Our correspondent in Almaty, Fariza Kalimurzina, has more.
Kazakhstan is in talks with tech heavyweights including Telegram, InDrive and Google to establish offices at Alem.ai, one of the country's most ambitious AI projects. The facility will feature an educational hub for school children and a startup campus with the goal of boosting AI experts to $5 billion by 2029. To achieve this objective, Kazakhstan has launched a nationwide program to train 1 million people in AI skills. Additionally, the country plans to implement AI certification for government employees while expanding AI expertise in the corporate sector. Officials say Alem.ai, set to open in the fall of this year, will serve as a catalyst for AI development in Central Asia, launching 100 AI startups and supporting 1 scientific research project. Through these efforts, Kazakhstan hopes to join the global partnership on artificial intelligence. AI is also making an impact beyond the tech sector, transforming industries such as agriculture, transportation, and healthcare. For example, the Agri-Tech Hub startup is using AI and satellite data to monitor farmland and predict crop yields. In the mining sector, Kazakhstan is utilizing AI to analyze decades-old Soviet geological records. Vice Minister of Industry and Construction Janat Dubirova notes that AI is being used to process data from the 1950s to the 1980s, recognizing up to 90% of the information even from poor quality records. So far, over 56,000 geological records have been digitized. From Almaty, Kazakhstan, Fariza Kalimurzina.
On the 12th of April, International Human Space Flight Day, humanity not only honors the pioneering flight of Yuri Gagarin, but also reflects on the remarkable progress made in space exploration. Recognized by the United Nations, this day highlights the importance of global cooperation in space. Azerbaijan has been an active participant in this journey, with Azercosmos at the forefront, driving the nation's advancements in space technology.
International Human Spaceflight Day is celebrated every year on April 12th. It marks the day in 1961 when Yuri Gagarin became the first human to travel into space. Orbiting the Earth for 1 hour and 48 minutes. His flight was a major step in space exploration and opened a new chapter in human history. The United Nations chose this date to honor the role of space science in making the world safer and more connected.
In 1973, it brought all of them to Baku for the International Astronautical Congress to discuss the modern, for that time, problems of the space. And from this time, Azerbaijan also started actively participating in the global space science and space initiatives. In 1987, first Azerbaijani-born astronaut flew into space, Musa Manarov. And the modern history of Azerbaijan in space starts in 2008.
3, 2, unité, top, allumage Vulcain. Allumage EAP.
Azerbaijan's space journey began with the launch of Azaspace 1, Azerbaijan's first telecommunications satellite, in 2013. This was followed by the launch of Azasky, an Earth observation satellite, in 2014, and Azaspace 2, the country's second telecommunications satellite, in 2018. Through these efforts, Azercosmos has significantly enhanced Azerbaijan's technological independence and its ability to provide critical communication services to regions across Europe, the Middle East, Central Asia, and Africa.
It's important to emphasize the role of talent and the role of R&D in the sector. We are moving from the, let's say, downstream market to the upstream market in the upcoming years. And in this regard, I would like to emphasize the role of Spacecraft Development and Production Center that is being under construction now in Azerbaijan.
The agency's success has played an important role in the nation's economic and social development, helping position Azerbaijan as a growing leader in space technology.
With two geostationary satellites, we have been providing teleport services. Also, we are providing satellite services for both TV, radio, and data communications. Also, with different partnerships, we are providing many satellite data services, both in Africa and also in our region.
State-of-the-art technologies are being employed in Azercosmos Main Ground Satellite Control Center, where coordination with other countries and satellites is carried out.
Ground control unit controls the antennas on the ground and makes sure that that everything is fine with the antennas and the other technological parts that needs to work together with the antennas to ensure that there is no, let's say, break in the communication. So we will be able to communicate the satellite anytime we need. So that's what the ground team do. We also have controllers here, which after we plan the maneuvers, they send the maneuver data to the satellite and also monitor the satellite during the execution of the maneuvers and other operations to make sure that everything is fine with the satellite.
In 2023, Azerbaijan had the distinct honor of hosting the 74th International Astronautical Congress in Baku. The Congress brought together over 5,300 participants from 136 countries and served as an important platform for exchanging ideas and innovations in space exploration. The event focused on the theme Global Challenges and Opportunities. Give space a chance, reaffirming Azerbaijan's commitment to global collaboration in space. At the same time, Azakosmos hosted the Space Challenges in the Fight Against Climate Change Space Leaders Summit during the COP29 event. The summit led to the signing of the Pledge on Expanding Space-Based Climate Initiatives by 20 global space agencies. This pledge represents a significant step towards deepening international cooperation to tackle climate change, underscoring the role of space-based solutions in mitigating its negative effects. As part of its long-term commitment to the space sector, Azerbaijan has also established the Space Academy under Azakosmos. This academy is designed to be a hub for training and nurturing the next generation of space professionals. By offering both physical and digital learning opportunities, the academy aims to equip students with the knowledge and skills needed to contribute to the rapidly evolving space industry.
This year, Azerbaijani school children representing 41 schools will be deploying their first PocketSat micro-satellite to the near-Earth orbit with the rockets of the SpaceX company. Almost 750 school children are participating in this competition, as well as we are implementing International Space Olympics together with our Israeli partners from Israel Space Agency. Almost 700 school children representing 40 schools are actively participating in this Olympics.
In collaboration with leading universities and global space institutions, the Academy will provide students the chance to engage with cutting-edge technologies and participate in international projects, ensuring that Azerbaijan continues to strengthen its position as a global leader in space exploration.
Azercosmos established internship programs and mentorship programs where they also invited me as a mentor here, where we together trying to help the new students that are going to focus and go to the International Astronautical Congress 2025, which will be held in Australia, Sydney. So right now my main goal is going and participating in Sydney Congress, where I will gain more experiences and will have a chance to come back to Azerbaijan and share my experiences with new students.
The official media partner of Space Conference of Organization of Turkic Stated and Space Technology Conference will be held in Baku from 23rd to 25th April.
Well, that's all we have for now. Thank you for tuning in and keep watching A News.